Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, James.
What's happening? And welcome back to another episode today. Something I discovered in Proverbs chapter 11 that's a key in business, and I want to share that today. We are continuing the theme of wisdom and just diving into Proverbs. There's so much in Proverbs, and especially if you're a business person, you can learn and discover some secret keys. There was probably a couple of keys. I'll definitely share at least two, but I'm going to just kind of share with you kind of how I got into this because I know that it's pretty popular. One of my mentors, Pedro Dale, I know he does, like he's doing the wisdom challenge right now with Proverbs chapter 11. But before the wisdom challenge, I found Proverbs. Now, here's the thing. I can't take credit for just saying that I found Proverbs. Everybody had Proverbs. But there was a time when I may have been open to just hearing things from different people. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name because he passed away. I can't remember his name. But when I started listening to some of the ideas that he had, it was interesting. I'm like, oh, wow. This was the first time I had heard someone overtly using the Bible in their business. And it was giving, like he was talking about all the success he was having. And I'm just really upset that I can't remember his name because he was tied to the network marketing industry. But he wanted to get into coaching because obviously that's like the next path you go into coaching. You're teaching people how to do stuff. And he read this verse in Proverbs. He read a bunch of verses, but this is one that blew me up because I was just like, I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, this is wild. I'm like, this is so good. So I'm going to read the verse. Well, I'm going to read 3 verses. And I'm going to read these 3 verses, and then we're going to have a conversation about these verses because, look, you may or you may not be in business, but we all are in business. We all love certain things. So if you have a debit card, a credit card, cash in your pocket, you love business. So let's start from verse number 24. And it says, some people spend their money freely and still get richer. Wow. Others are cautious and yet grow poorer. That's wild. Somebody's being free. Business people become free. Back in 2001, when I got the bright idea to say, you know what, I'm going to start a business. I had no understanding of it, but I felt like there was something free about starting a business, even though, let me just be real, there's actually more work in being in business than there is to be an employee. There's more work. But for some reason, it felt like I would be free. And then it says in verse 25, be generous and you will be prosperous. Help others and you will be helped. So they're saying prosperity if you give. Generous. Generous is, what is generous? Generosity tends to be linked to money. Like it's nothing like somebody who's generous, someone who says, you know what, don't worry about it, I got you. It's nothing like when it's unexpected. I've had friends unexpectedly pay for my lunch or unexpectedly do something for me. People that you may not expect would just literally give you something. And I noticed this just recently when we did my wife's 50th birthday, and people were generous. I don't always think that Because when you're young, when you're a kid, you turn a new age. Of course, you feel like you're always going to get a gift. And people were so generous to her. They gave her all. Well, she hit 50, so I guess people were giving her $50, $100, $200, and one of our clients gave her $1,250 because she'd been working with him for 25 years. This is the 25th year, and he gave her $1,250. Is that a lot of money? No. Here's the thing: it's generous. People love people who are generous. And when you're generous, prosperity, it's just in there. Now, here's the verse that really got me, verse 26. And then we'll have a conversation about it. People curse someone who hoards grain, waiting for a higher price, but they praise the one who puts it up for sale. Imagine this: if you went into the supermarket and they had all these products, but they wouldn't sell them to you. They said, we're competing and we're waiting to be able to get a better price. We don't want to sell it to you for $1, so we're going to wait. Just imagine if no one would sell what they have. Imagine, like, ever since COVID, if you've noticed, the food industry, a lot of people order out. It's gotten really big. There's, now more people delivering, all kind of stuff. But imagine if no one would sell the food. I remember going into business, and I remember even before I went into business, and I may have told this story before. I'm going to tell it again, though, because I was in college. And back then, if when you grow up in the 70s and the 80s, and then you're in the 90s, and you're you can remember your parents telling you, go get a job. Go get a job. You got to have a job. And they said, if you need to find a job, go to the newspaper. One, because there was no internet. The internet came out in the 90s. But before the internet, what was there? There was the newspaper with all the listings of jobs. So I believe I was going from junior year to senior year of college. And I remember, man, I needed a job. And I'm like, man, I got to get a job. I'm in the paper every day, calling around, sending a resume, filling out application. Back then, you just go and fill out an application. Everything may not have necessarily been a resume, because I wasn't necessarily looking for corporate jobs. I was just looking for jobs. And so I found this place. It's in Beltsville, Maryland, but I can't remember what they did. I just remember, I can't remember what they did. But prior to finding them, what I found in the newspaper was that I was looking for accounting jobs, but everything needed like 5 years experience. And so I didn't meet it. It's like, oh, well, then the section of the newspaper that had all the jobs was what? Sales. This is the point here. Don't miss it. Sales was the big section of the newspaper. No experience necessary. We'll train you. Come in willing, and we will help you do it. All kind of stuff in there. I'm like, wow. Commissions up to blah, blah, blah. Unlimited commissions, or you can earn up to $100,000 a year or $200,000. I mean, it was good. But I didn't want to sell. I was like, nah, selling is bad. That's corny. But wait, what did the scripture just say? The scripture said people curse someone who hoards grain, waiting for a high price, but they praise the one who puts it up for sale. Somebody has to be willing to go for the sale. If we're thinking about business, because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about business. What I discovered in Proverbs 11, that's a secret in business. Selling is the big secret in business. When you sell, you win. Well, Jay, it seems so hard to sell. I'm not that. It doesn't seem like that's for me. I'm not but you love buying. Most people love buying. That means we love to be involved in sales because here's the thing. It just seems so, I don't want to be convincing people, and it just seems so icky, to have to get somebody to buy something. The last thing you purchased, did anybody get you to buy it, or did you just buy it? Somebody said, people buy things because they want it. Because they want it. That's why they buy things. They don't buy things because you twist their arm. And the people that get their arms twisted, a lot of times they'll cancel the sale. They'll go buy, man, I don't really want this. But the ones who've been thinking about it, oh man. Now sometimes you may not have been thinking about buying something. Somebody brings it to your attention. Now, a really good salesperson can bring you into awareness of something that they have, and they can show you the value in it, and it's so good that you buy it. They didn't convince you of it. They just was able to present an opportunity that puts the person who had the money in a position to say, you know what, even though I didn't know about this, I'm going to buy it. Give it to me. It's a secret. Selling. Oh, Jay, I need to make more money. Learn how to sell. Jay, I need to send my kids to, the private school. Learn how to sell. Jay, well, man, I want to upgrade my house and I want to be able to buy. Learn how to sell. Learn. Here's the thing. We all know how. If you've bought something, then you are potentially a person who could actually sell it. What do I mean by that? Oh, just think about it like this. If you take the last thing that you purchased, that you wanted, that you went to the store, you went and searched it out, and you bought it. How would you sell it if you had to sell it to somebody? We do this all the time, right? We do it all the time. What do we do? How do we do it? Here's what we do. You go buy something that you like. Hey, girl. Girl, man, I just got these shoes. These shoes is off the chain. You should see the color on these shoes. You should see how the heel is, and it's perfect for me. And you should feel how good these shoes feel on my feet, and how I feel like I'm walking on air. Man, these shoes are off the chain. You gotta get some shoes like this. Everybody knows how to sell. Here's the problem. No, here's the big problem. I'm going to let you go in a couple of minutes. Here's the problem. The problem with selling is that somebody sold something to somebody that they didn't want. And because that happened, then somebody went out there and said selling was bad. We should not go into sales. That's the worst place to think because people are icky. People will sell you stuff you don't need and don't want. Yes, that's bad. If someone convinces you to buy something that you definitely didn't need and you can't use and it's not going to add value to your life, then that's a problem. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that selling is bad. It just means that we just need people who are better educators and people who are willing not to, like I was on the phone with someone recently and I didn't want to sell her what I had. I didn't want to sell it. Like I just was talking. We had a conversation. I had something I could sell, but I didn't want to. Because every time, just because you have something doesn't mean everybody needs to get it. Sometimes there's things that everybody got to have. If I had some toilet paper, I can guarantee you need it. I know you need toilet paper. You may not need the toilet paper today, but you're going to need it. But if it's something that's specific for a certain type of person, a certain profile, then definitely we don't want to give it to them. We don't want them to buy something that they can't use. So selling is good. And what I love about this verse in Proverbs, and there's a couple of versions. The good news says that was the good news. The NIV says people curse the one who hoards grain. That's the same one. What does the King James say about that one? Let's look at the King James real quick. King James says, he that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him, but the blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. So basically, go learn how to sell, especially if you're in business. If you're in business, look, If we're in business, selling is the key. Selling is the key. How you get to the sale, that's a different podcast. That's a different process. We're just talking about the principle of selling and why selling is important and why each and every one of us already know how to sell. So if we apply the simple principle of I used it, it's good for me, this is how it helped me, and it might be able to help you. That is an easy way to sell everything. So if you ever want to make a sale, make sure you have used it first. Make sure you already understand it to the point where you can speak from experience of this particular product or service. That's one of the things I like to do when I'm talking to people. I have a thing where if I don't know something, I don't really want to go into it because I like to speak from an experiential nature. So if I don't know something, then I tend to want to stay away from it because then I may wind up being in a situation where I'm lying about it. And boy, I've done that before, and that's not cool. So what do we take from today? Selling's good, and selling's good, and here's the thing: we all can sell. We all can sell from experience. So if it's something that you want to sell, have an experience with it, use your experience as the gateway into the conversation. But here's the thing: before you just offer it to somebody, we got to ask them questions. Hey, do you find that like in my business, hey, do you find that you need to keep more money? Man, I wish I could keep more. Do you feel like you're paying too much in taxes? Absolutely. Man, do you feel like you need to grow your business, but you just don't have the funding? Oh man, yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. What's your vision for your business? Like, if you had more money, like what would you do with it? See, these are kind of questions that I ask business owners. And what's happening is I'm learning about their business, I'm learning about their money. And then I come in like, man, recently I worked with a client and had a similar problem as you, and they needed funding, but they couldn't get a line of credit. They just didn't have the money. And here's what happened. We uncovered $59,860 of taxes that they could keep in their pocket. They had an $80,000 tax bill, and when we uncovered the 59,000, they gladly paid us our fee, and they gladly cleared a good amount of money. 40,000 and change. I think like $44,000 is what they cleared after that, because they paid us, right? But they pay us not just, well, they pay us because that's our fee, but then we work with them the whole year. Then they get to save more money. That's how I work with clients. And at the end of the day, it's good. We sell what we have. We have an experience with what we do. And then we just kind of help them to see why they might need it. And then they praise us because they like, wow, this has helped me get to where I want to go. Wow, let me tell somebody else. Guys, selling is good. Let's get out there. Let's learn the art. Let's learn the art of selling and persuasion so that our businesses can grow and so that our lives can be better. Because look, if we can persuade our spouses, our children, our friends, our colleagues, if we can be a better persuader. And persuader is not convincing. A persuader is where people actually just come into the same thought because they wanted to. When we become better at that, our businesses will grow, our lives will change, our families will change, everything will change. So guys, that's just a few verses in Proverbs chapter 11. Go read Proverbs 11 for yourself. There's so many gems in there that I didn't even cover. But if you go read it, maybe you can use some of these things to help you grow your life and grow all the things that are around you. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the I AFYL Podcast. Look, if you're listening this on Facebook, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Healthy Accountant. If you're listening to this on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification icon, because we have a new podcast every single day at 9 a.m. Eastern time is when it goes live every day. Also, if you're a business owner, be on the lookout. Me and my partner, we're coming out with a brand new podcast, and it's going to be amazing. And it's going to, and the name of the podcast is Beyond Freedom Financial Podcast. So you don't want to miss this podcast. This is an extension of what I'm already doing, but we're going to talk a lot about what is this beyond freedom. So guys, I thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.